Welcome back. Welcome back to the Kovacs Report. I've got some amazing news. No, it's not that I've got free tickets to the Wet Leg concert tonight. It is that One World Under Doom is finally over. Yes, we have endured 9 issues of this event. I think it's an event, but no one else would know it was even there unless people were talking about it. I don't think many are, but it's finally over. And I'm going to review it. I'm going to go through it page by page. I'm going to give you my thoughts, so there will be spoilers. I mean, there is some positive in it. I promise there's some positive. Not a lot. And the one big surprise in here is actually already spoiled by Marvel themselves, who announced who the new Sorcerer Supreme was. But anyway, I digress. Like the video if you can, and please subscribe. I'd really, really appreciate it. So finally, this book has come to an end. It is one of those events which really didn't do anything at all. I mean, it hasn't made any impact on the rest of the Marvel Universe at all, really. And they're trying to find ways of making it relevant now. I know Captain America and Latveria and everything else is all going to come into play, you know, over on Captain America and a few other books. But that feels very much like an afterthought. This book was late as well, so it is a few issues behind. Lots of things that were supposed to happen after the book came out during the book. I say lots of things, maybe the Sorcerer Supreme. So this is it. The upshot of this book was, you know, Doom will eventually be somewhat defeated and we'll get a new Sorcerer Supreme. And who will that be? Well, Marvel gave us a ton of spoilers and teasers and everything else, but they didn't reveal it until they did reveal it a few weeks before the book that comes out that actually reveals it. So what's left to look at? Well, this book, in my opinion, okay, has basically been on repeat. Okay, the first, I can't remember, 6 issues, maybe 7 issues, with the same story played on over and over and over again. Doom has taken over the world. Doom has made the world a brilliant place. There's always a cost. We'll get to that. But the heroes don't want him to be the ruler of the world, of course, because, you know, Doom is the villain. Now, what they did was they attacked and they lost. They fought him again. They lost. And every single issue, they fought him. And they lost. And every single issue, Doom just happened to get more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. And no matter what you would do, he'd already thought of it. He even had the Fantastic Four going back in time so that he could defeat them again. And every single time they attacked him, he'd learned something new about them. So they could never win because he knew everything that... I know it's ridiculous, but this is pure Ryan North. This is pure Ryan North. And we did have 2 interesting moments in this entire 9 issues of nothingness, okay? The first one, although very, very predictable, came at a time where this book was dead. Honestly dead, because I don't believe many people really enjoyed it. And I think people are even sort of considering it as an event because it just did nothing, really. But what was that? Well, we find out he has his people in Latveria enslaved in some kind of Matrix-style facility, and it's draining their life force, and it powers his magic and his armor and everything else and makes him stronger. And he was siphoning off their life force, and that is a terrible thing. And again, like I say, it wasn't very original, but it was that much-needed punch to give this book some kind of interest. And then it deteriorated again for an issue or 2, and we had the big moment, the huge moment, which, of course... is reversed in this book, of course. It's reversed in the book, and that is the death of his goddaughter, Valeria, the daughter of Reed Richards and Sue Storm. And like I say, this is the problem with Ryan North and a lot of other writers. They do something absolutely interesting, and then they unravel and reverse it straight away. So it has no impact. The first shock, wow, they did that, is usually followed by, oh, okay, next issue will be fine. And that's what happens here. The inevitable has happened. So Doom is the cause of her death. It is his fault that she has died. It is 100% down to him that she lies lifeless with a leg missing. Yes, that got detached too. And he is absolutely devastated and bereft. It is the one human living that he actually cares for and actually loves, really and truly. Okay? And he is beside himself. And we get this sort of narrative here, okay? It's supposed to be very, very deep and touch us in our soul. But it kind of, again, it just falls flat because we already know what's happening. So everything that's being sort of told to us is just like, yeah, just get to it. Get her back to life again. So how does he do it? How does he bring her back to life? Well, after we get your screaming up the sky moment, Valeria, dead with green stuff coming out of her. He forms this kind of I think this is kind of like some kind of magic plane, maybe, where he's talking to her and he's explaining what has happened and how he's going to bring her back. Now, in the real world, he picks up her dismembered leg and he uses some of his magic to reattach it to her body, so her body's whole. And he puts this protective bubble around him and her, and he holds her. And the good parts about it is because you can feel the love, right? You really do feel the love. This guy is devastated. I think the only person you could feel any worse about this is the parents, and you can see them there. You know, they are trapped outside this bubble watching their daughter, who is dead, in the grips of doom. You know, Reed Richards' jaw is really dropping. Sue Storm is probably going to lose it. Anyway, we get this big zoom, okay? And we find out that Doom voyages to places mortals were never meant to go. He breached the home and refuge of the gods, who call themselves the Vishanti, who are, of course, behind the fact that he is the Sorcerer Supreme. Okay, they had extraordinary powers, life and death, that they could choose if they wanted to fix a mistake. But what he gets is a lecture in duty and consequences, and they refuse to hear him. They refuse to hear, and they send him packing. So he was forced to continue his journey. And you see him here. You will heed the words of doom. He used everything that he could to try and persuade them. And they just said no. They would not heed. They would not obey. So he travelled through yawning voids, through rooms white hot, until on a far and distant shore, the great king finally arrived before the strongest god, which is the living tribunal. Now, he basically demands what he wants, of course, because he's doomed. Doesn't ask very nicely. But the living tribunal is not convinced that this bargain is true. He believes that, you know, it isn't justice that Doom seeks, but forgiveness for the guilt that he is suffering for, you know, being the cause of Valeria's death. And he says, you know what? I will give you one thing I've given to no one. I will allow you to fully see me. And he does exactly that. He goes into Doom, and literally sort of every single atom, every single memory, every single thing that makes up Doom now forever is revealed to Living Tribunal. And he discovers that actually it's true. This is a selfless act. This is for Valeria. You know, it is very true. So he agrees, but he says there will come a price. We will learn what that price is later. As Valeria returns to life, she comes out of this sort of like portal, I guess, into the arms of her loving family. And she's just as confused. And it is revealed, of course, that he is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme. Now, the world goes back to spinning, basically. And we learn that, you know, humanity can't be trusted. And all the good that Doom has done is undone, essentially. Wars begin again. Boundaries are set. You know, all the stuff you expect to happen basically happened. And the public is divided. You know, the public's always divided. You've got one side that believe he was a god, you know, a man who brought peace to the world, did everything he did. And you've got the other side who believes he's just a terrible, crazy villain. And they argue, of course, very much like something going on in the real world there, right? Anyway, the book ends twice. It ends here with Reed Richards, and he's in his lab doing what he's doing, and he's talking to someone. There's a crackoom. Okay, now I'm going to read some of this. He says, freedom is returning to the world, you know. Old democracies are being restored, and Doom replies, and old dictatorships too, and old borders, old inequality, old suffering, old lies and hate. And basically have a little discussion about freedom, okay? And Doom sort of argues that the price that was paid for all the good that happened, you know, was worth it. And Reed disagrees, you know. He disagrees at all. But he's very, very mad at Doom. Of course he's mad at Doom. You know, his daughter died, was had to be brought back to life. Now, Doom wants a favor, in fact, or rather he's demanding something Reed. Reed's like, no, whatever it is, I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. And if it's to save you, because he does state, it was not a request, Richards, I'm dying. He's like, I'm not going to work to save you. Not after what you've done. I cannot forgive you. You can die. And that's basically what's going to happen. Anyway, Doom says, of course not. You are as incapable of saving Doom, Richards, as you are of defeating him. That is not what I demand. And Reed says, listen, whatever you're asking, the answer is still no. You've got some trick, some scheme, and then he just trauma dumps. He says, listen, I traded my life for hers, along with my titles and my planet and my soul. He says, she is well, Valeria. And Reed relaxes a little bit, says, she is. Then Doom says, then it was worth it. You know? And that's a really cool moment as well, because he's happy. He believes that the sacrifice that he made, I mean, he's given up everything for Valeria. was worth it. Now, Reed says you wouldn't do it selflessly. You've got some plan. And he goes, silence. I will not spend my last moments here enduring your vain, facile, endlessly effete objections. But Richards, take good care of my world. Now, we're going to get to these last couple of pages. So what does that mean? That means Doom has gone. Is he dead? For now, we know he's not really dead. But what it means is that all of this was for nothing. These 9 issues essentially were for nothing. Nothing's changed. We've literally gone back to where we were 9 issues ago. That's correct. Nothing has happened. It has had no effect in the other Marvel books. Literally no effect at all. It's like all the other writers just ignored what was going on in One World Under Doom. Now, I know they are manufacturing something to connect this with Armageddon coming up, the next multi-layered event, and what's going on with Captain America and a few other books. But that, to me, very much feels like an afterthought. They're like, we really need to kind of make this have meant something. Because it hasn't meant anything. And there are a couple of things that have happened here. It's the dismantling of Doom. Now, this is the thing that bugs me the most. You know, I know we had repetition after repetition in this book, but Doom, for me, is one of the most classic Marvel villains. He's one of the most classic comic book villains of all time. Now, I know, you know, when he first appeared, he was more cartoonish back then. That sort of 60s way of doing things, you know, world domination, you know, I am Doom. And I get all that. And it's part of his character. However, over the years, they developed him into quite a formidable foe, a real foe, you know, a serious villain. But this has just dismantled him into a cartoon. This whole 9 issues has been, you will listen to Doom. Oh, it just completely deconstructed everything that had made Doom this really, really terrifying and formidable villain. It just kind of feels like we've been cheated. You know, I feel like I've been cheated not only out of an event, but out of Doom. He's gone for now. Anyway. How do they end this? Well, they end it in 2 ways. One with this full page here, which I think's quite ridiculous, right? So for me, how I would have ended this, that would have vanished. Okay. And then we'll do like, I don't know, a week later, and there's someone arriving at the Baxter building, has an appointment with Reed Richards, a little briefcase, opens a briefcase, and he brings out the last will and testament of Victor Von Doom to show that Victor even thought about this eventuality. He even thought about this. He's outsmarted you all. He's gone. He's gone. He doesn't believe that he's been defeated. He believes he's just gone away for a little while. He will defeat death. Of course he will, right? He's like, you know what? I'll be back soon. And by the way, here's this. But no, the last will and testament is inscribed inside his mask. And I just think this is so cheesy, and it's quite difficult to read as well. You know, I'm a graphic designer, a typographer. I would have spent a little bit more time making this readable. So I'm going to go up to my screen and try and read what it says. It says, upon my death, a copy of this document shall be inscribed within every book, computer system, and information storage device on the planet. I, Victor Von Doom, being of sound mind and body, hereby appoint Reed Richards, son of Nathaniel and Evelyn Richards, to be executor and a trustee of this, the final will and testament of Victor Von Doom. I hereby revoke all former wills and codicils, I think it says, made by me, and hereby declare and demand that all that I possess, own, or rule, including my nation of Latveria, shall be bequeathed to whoever or whosoever first manners to ... To what? And then Reed goes, fuck. ... Who? What? What's happening? I don't know. Why give us a cliffhanger at the end of this event? Tell us what it means. Is it something to do with the Sorcerer Supreme? Is it something to do with something else that's coming in the next event? Give us more than that, guys. And why write it badly on the back of his goddamn mask? Anyway, there is an extra page. It's a huge reveal. It's a huge reveal, which Marvel spoiled weeks before it came out, which is, of course, we have a new Sorcerer Supreme. Of course, it can't be Doctor Strange. No. You can't have the actual character be the actual character anymore in Marvel. It has to be someone else. Now, while I think this might give us some interesting stories, although it is Steve Orlando, so that's going to be a real dice roll, it is interesting, I guess, that we have a new Sorcerer Supreme, and it's good old Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, because her magic is chaos-based. I guess very different to the Ashanti magic, right? So this could lead to some very, very interesting stories. However, I have very little faith, but I would love to be proven wrong. We shall see. So she has the Eye of Agamotto there, the Cloak of Levitation. She is now the big, bad Sorcerer Supreme, which launches with Sorcerer Supreme in issue 1, and there's a Wiccan book and a Doctor Strange book with, of course, variant covers and interconnecting covers. You were lucky they didn't blind bag it. I'm sure it's not too late for that. So yes, we got this whole sort of mini, I don't know, magic event that's going to happen with those 3 books, I guess, on top of the Armageddon and the Shadows of Tomorrow, the Fallout of Age of Revelation, the Spider-Man Death Spiral event leading into the, the Queen in Black event, in case you didn't have enough events coming. So there we have it. Again, it's one of those videos where I've got a bit annoyed about this, but somebody has to. I'm sick of reading all this media on the internet where every single book is just amazing. It is absolutely changing the world we live in through comics. I'm like, am I reading the same books? This is an honest opinion, okay? This is an honest opinion. This issue wasn't bad if it was done mid-run, or at the beginning. And at the end, it would have had so much more power if the preceding 8 issues were just a repetition of the same old heroes fight villain, villain wins, heroes come back, villains fight villains, and heroes fight villains, and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They just don't make them like they used to. I never thought I'd get to the age where I'd actually say that, but it is true. Marvel are absolutely failing at events, and this one, I think, is one of the worst in recent times. Anyway, Age of Revelation hasn't finished yet, so, we've still got that one that could beat it, and it is definitely heading that way. But back to the point. The point is, those are my thoughts, and I'll be very interested to hear yours. As always, don't forget, if you can, please do like that video and hit that subscribe button, because I'd really, really appreciate it. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one.